And I came here in 1986 to run it for myself, and I signed the papers, and I was owner of the Red Barn Incorporated. People come in here for the experience, more so than I think anything else. And they love the fact that somebody's actually taking the time to listen. Maybe you learn in proportion to how much you listen and care. If you can find that balance between doing what you love that isn't really work, that might pay the bills, and can resonate with people and actually to some extent help people. Without my customers, I would be doing what I don't love, guaranteed.
We ready to go? We're ready. Call this meeting to order. We will start with a public hearing. And we will begin with ordinance number 10, 2017, providing for amendment to chapter 3-5 of the Winslow Town Code, titled Dogs Constituting a Nuisance, by adding the underline and deleting the strike through. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to come up and speak? If not, we'll move on to ordinance number 11, 2017, providing for revisions to chapter 13, article 3 of the Winslow Town Code, titled Miscellaneous Vehicle and Traffic Restrictions, by adding the attached 13-17, no traffic. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to stand up to the mic and speak on ordinance number 11, 2017? Seeing none, we'll move on to ordinance 12, 2017. Providing for revisions to chapter 9 of the Winslow Town Code, titled Parks and Recreation, by adding the attached article 3, 9 through 12, smoking prohibited. Is there anybody who would like to speak to ordinance number 12, 2017? If not, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting and begin the regular council meeting. Start with the roll call.
Ray Karen.
Here.
Ken Fletcher.
Here.
Jerry Kurian.
Here.
Steve Russell.
Yes.
Ben Twitchell.
Here.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Tricia West.
Yes.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the September 11th meeting. Moved and seconded. Any discussion, additions, omissions? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Communications, legislative report. Is our legislator here today? Did she have anything?
No.
And then we'll do a public comment where someone from the audience can come up to the mic and speak on any subject they wish. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on. Reports of committees and commissions. We'll begin with the town manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I'll speak on in my report is the fact that we've sent out mailers on our recycling pilot project, and so we're hoping to get a bigger response to that as far as use. We did add 2 new containers, and we're poised, if necessary, to add more containers if the use grows. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any questions.
Are there any questions for the town manager? Any other? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, his report. 87 Benton Avenue. You're looking at removing that by when?
Well, if I get approval, I'll start immediately making arrangements to do that. If the council approves the resolution, it's in the packet.
And then would we look just to sell the land?
Yes, that's all it would, yes.
Okay. Do you know how many acres, like 20 something, I'm guessing, it's a very small piece.
101.
It is,
Yeah, it's a very small piece of land.
I don't know. off the
Okay.
top of my head.
Would we offer it to the abutters first?
I suspect that would be probably a better move, find out if the
Yeah.
butters are interested, and if they are, I can, I would come back to the council and
Be good for parking.
Any further questions? We're all all set. Are there any questions about any of the other department reports? Or the finance committee report, or the financial report?
Got one question. Through the chair, to the town manager, probably the public works director. When is the Kennebec Water District gonna finish paving, Clinton Avenue?
I believe it's gonna be this week, but Paul knows that.
They're on track, I believe, to be done either tomorrow or Thursday. And they're also doing some extra for us as well too, so. Stuff we had to patch, they offered to do a little bit for us, so, I mean, we're paying for it, but they're right there, so.
I'm all set.
All set? Any other questions about any of the department head reports? If not, I'll entertain a motion to, approve all
Second.
reports. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. We will move on to unfinished business, beginning with ordinance number 10, 2017. Providing for an amendment to chapter 3-5 of the Winslow Town Code titled Dogs Constitute a Nuisance by adding the underline and deleting the strike-through language in the attached section. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Ordinance number 10, 2017 is now open for discussion. Did you have anything, Jim?
No.
You're all set? No discussion? Okay, we'll have a vote.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Jerry Kurian,
Yes.
Ken Fletcher,
Yes.
Ben Twitchell.
Yes.
Tricia West.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. Move on to ordinance number 11, 2017, providing for revisions to chapter 13, article 3 of the Winslow Town Code titled Miscellaneous Vehicle and Traffic Restrictions by adding the attached 13-17, no truck traffic.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Have we defined what truck traffic is yet?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, it basically means no truck traffic with the exceptions of a pickup truck, four-wheel vans, all town and state vehicles, trucks providing a service to town or properties located on a street subject to no truck traffic.
Any other questions, comments?
I think the chief was gonna check on, I think with, state police to see what their definition was.
I did speak to Trooper Deke Rickard, and he did confirm that, 'cause he brought up the same issues about commercial motor vehicles dropping off oil and trucks, and I think it's the basic, it's 26,000, a GW.
26,001.
26,001. So, I showed him actually the ordinance, and he thought it was perfectly fine. And he had no issues or suggestions.
Any other questions for the chief while he's up here? Thank you, chief. Any other discussion? Are we all ready? Okay, go ahead with the roll call vote.
Ben Twitchell.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Patricia West.
Yes.
Jeff West.
No.
Jerry Kurian.
No.
Ken Fletcher.
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. Continuing with unfinished business, we move on to ordinance number 12, 2017. Providing for revisions to chapter 9 of the Winslow Town Code titled Parks and Recreation by adding attached article 3, 9 through 12, smoking prohibited. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
And I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Ordinance 12 is now up for discussion. We all set? Ready to vote?
Okay, with the
Did
question,
we get
Mr.
the,
Chairman.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think our last discussion, we were gonna finalize the, description to include electronic papers and everything, and reading what was attached, it would appear that we have included e-cigarettes, vaping, and smokeless tobacco.
chewing tobacco is really hard, not secondhand, right?
If they lose their jaw, I don't want to see them.
Any further discussions? We all set? So we'll go ahead with a roll call vote.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
No.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Moving on to order number 14, 2017, providing for the authorization for the police chief and the town managers to sign the attached mutual aid agreement with the city of Waterville and the towns of Oakland, Fairfield, and Clinton.
So move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Order number 14 is now open for discussion. Any questions? We're all set, we'll move right through them then. We'll have a
We're
roll
not
call.
a chatty bunch tonight.
No.
No.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Order number 15, 2017, providing for the acceptance of a labor contract between Council 93, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Winslow Fire and Public Works employees, and the town of Winslow.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Order number 15 is now on the floor for discussion. You all set?
When does that contract become effective?
It'll be effective July 1st, retroactive to.
Retroactive, okay.
Yep. Any other questions? They want to add anything? If not, we'll have a
For
roll. We'll go ahead.
how much? Their
3 years?
3 years and their raise is what?
Yeah, so it'll be 2% this year, 0 next year, and then 1% the following year, with Main State retirement being added on the second year of the agreement.
Now, how much is the, are they picking up part of the Main State retirement?
Well, they'll have the employee share,
Yeah.
and we'll pay the employer's share.
Any further questions? We're all set. We'll go to the roll call vote.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Moving on to order number 16, providing for the sale of tax-acquired property. And need a motion?
So move.
Been moved,
Second?
moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'll just add that both 12 and 16 are vacant. And as soon as this gets approved, I'll reach out to the realtor and begin the process of putting both properties on the market.
And where is 12 and 16?
On Marcoux Street.
Okay, that's all I want.
Any other questions? If not,
Have you got
go ahead.
the person, can't remember, the one that we tore the garage down?
Yes, that's 12.
12, is that vacant now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, that's right.
Anything else? We all set? We'll have a roll call vote.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. And we move on to new business, beginning with ordinance number 13, 2017. An ordinance providing for the amendment of ordinance 4, 2002, the administration of general assistance, be ordained by the town council of the town of Winslow as follows. Whereas the town council established an ordinance for the administration of general assistance, ordinance number 4, 2002, and whereas the Maine Municipal Association has provided an update to the model general assistance ordinance, and whereas the new proposed update changes are for the period of October 1st, 2017 to September 30th, 2018. Now therefore be enacted by the town council of the town of Winslow that ordinance number 4, 2002 be amended to include the appendixes for the period of October 1st, 2017 to September 30th, 2018.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for discussion. Looks like there was an update on the,
These get updated every
Gets
year.
updated once in a while, yeah. Anybody have any questions?
We haven't had one in a while. At least nobody's emailed me. Maybe you can meet in private after.
If nobody has any questions, we'll take a roll call vote.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Patricia West?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Resolution 32, resolution providing for a pole location permit, Central Maine Power Company in Fairpoint, New England, project 80-100-158509. Be it resolved by Town Council, Town of Winslow as follows, an application for a pole location permit on the Hayward Road by CMP and Fairpoint, New England, project be approved. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And is there a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded on a pole location. Any discussion?
Where is this?
Haywood Road, I believe it says.
Mallet Street.
Mallet.
Mallet Street.
Oh, okay, yeah. Pole 4, yeah. That must be a misprint then on Haywood, right?
Yeah.
Do we have to have an amendment to change that?
So all amended.
So there's amendment proposed, is there a second, to change Haywood Road to the Mallet Road? Is there a second? Okay. All in favor of the proposed change, proposed amendment? Opposed, same sign, passes? I think-
No, no, I didn't oppose it. Well, I thought we were getting ready to pass it.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, we will now, okay, go ahead.
Has the Public Works Director looked at this? Because that pole will affect them.
I don't know, I haven't seen the paperwork. The only one I can think of on Mallet Street is one pole that's being relocated for Donna Goodrich.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, this is the one.
That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there with CMP to locate it, so we're all set.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or discussion on resolution number 32? If not, I will show of hands. All,
Before you do, the only reason I asked that is he put the pole in the wrong location. It's gonna affect his ability to plow the street.
Which is why we're moving it, right?
Correct.
We're moving
I
it
think that's
because it's
one
an
of
issue now.
because of the issue, I think
Yeah.
that's right.
I've heard from her. She doesn't like that pole,
Okay.
so that's good.
Anything else? We all set? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign, passes. Okay, moving on to resolution number 33, 2017. A resolution providing for authorization of town manager to accept a donation from Timothy Roy to benefit the Winslow Parks and Rec Department's care and upkeep of the town's Union Civil War Monument. Be it resolved by Town Council, Town of Winslow as follows. Whereas Timothy Roy has made a donation to the Parks and Rec Department in the amount of $35, and whereas Mr. Roy is requesting to have the donation applied to the care and upkeep of the town's Union Civil War Monument, now therefore be resolved by Town Council, Town of Winslow, the town manager is hereby authorized to accept the donation of $35 from Timothy Roy, and be it further resolved that the donation be used for the care and upkeep of the town's Union Civil War Monument.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on resolution number 33?
How is the monument? Is it good?
We just weeded it.
That's good.
Um,
$35 worth?
that was volunteers did it, so it
That's
was
good.
free.
Yay.
But I mean, it's weeds and landscaping, but it's a good function.
Any other questions? So resolution shall be a show of hands, right? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. And we move on to resolution number 34, 2017, provide for the authorization of town manager to raise the tax acquired property located at 87 Benton Avenue. Be it resolved by Town Council, Town of Winslow as follows. The Town of Winslow has tax foreclosed on 87 Benton Avenue, and whereas the structure at 87 Benton Avenue has been characterized as an unsafe building that is beyond repair. And whereas town manager has received 2 estimates to raise the building, now therefore be resolved by Town Council Town of Winslow that the town manager is hereby authorized to raise the tax-acquired property located at 87 Benton Avenue.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Resolution 34 is now on the table for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
The low estimate of 13,500 does not include if we have to do any remediation, like on asbestos. We did have the shingles on the outside of the house tested, and they were not asbestos, so hopefully the feeling is that we shouldn't have any issues with the inside, but I did want you to be aware of that. Any remediation we'd have to pay for.
So, you know, if you could, Mr. Chairman, you know, that the low bid does not. So if we do run into anything like that, asbestos, we would then have to make up the difference.
Yes.
That the high bid did, well,
Same.
there are only 2, so.
Same thing with the high.
Okay,
High bid
okay,
one.
okay, so they're all comparable.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have to come back and have us vote to put more money towards that, or could that be included in here, that if it's needed, we'll vote yes on that?
There's no
There's
dollar
no dollar
amount.
amount.
Oh, there's no dollar
Yeah,
amount, okay,
I'm authorized up to 19,009 something.
okay.
So if it looks like it's gonna go over that, I would reach out to the council.
Oh, okay.
Are both estimates from reputable companies?
Yes, yep. Local contractors.
Yes.
Got a couple of questions. One is, how are they gonna remove the building?
Carefully.
Yeah,
I didn't.
it's because it's pretty, the building's pretty close to the power lines
Yes,
and Benton Avenue.
yep.
I don't need to find out
That's fine.
that it's taking the power lines out and having it in Benton Avenue.
Well, I know the Public Works Director in a prior life has done similar things, and he's looked at it and believes that it's, you know, it's certainly doable for someone to go in and take it down. We've got a couple of trees there too that we're gonna, you know, we'll have to deal with as well.
Any further questions? Again, this is a resolution, so it'll be a show of hands if we're all set. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to explain a vote that I had, because we discussed it last month, okay, on that smoking thing. I had no problem with the resolution, with the ordinance that was passed. Only problem I had was with the addition that they went into, okay, with the smokeless and that type of stuff. No smoking in the parks, no problem at all. I just questioned the other part of it, okay?
Thank you. Now, we have a discussion item. School budget options. And I thought we were gonna get out early.
Well,
Yeah, nice to-
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I know that there's been a suggestion that perhaps at the November meeting, that there be some discussion then. So if the council wants me to reach out to the school board and make an invitation or whatever, and I'll just put that out there, just so you folks can let me know if there's something you'd like for me to do.
Yeah, if I could, Mr. Chairman, you know, I was thinking of October, but October's here already, and, you know, everybody's pretty busy, so, yeah, I'm fine with, November, and maybe what the council could do is just submit topics to you as a town manager, that you could extend that and say, these are things we would like to discuss.
We certainly would have one topic on the agenda, which would be the vote on the 7th, no
Right.
matter which way it goes. We should have a powwow with the school committee anyways.
That's right.
Over the results of the election and plan our path forward, no matter what the vote
Yep.
is. And so I think it's a good way to segue right into that committee and work into the budget part of it too, and other discussions. Anything else? You guys wanna discuss anything else?
But you don't wanna get in any more on that. I would like to mention one thing that was brought up. I can't remember how it was. The program that we had, okay, we just got through and we got one more coming up.
Yep.
the fact that somebody mentioned that they'd like to see the microphone be used for the public to come up and ask their questions rather than write the questions on a piece of paper and have people like myself or the other lady read them off. And that way they would be talking directly to the group.
That's certainly a possibility. We can swap. I was gonna ask that, if anybody would like to switch anything that we did at the first meeting and to many improvements. And if the audience would prefer that, I would certainly have no problem.
You know, good, Mr. Chairman, we could explain it that way. Say, if you would rather write your questions down, that's an option. If not, you know,
Those two mics come up.
we can do it with the mics. So that really would give,
Because some of them definitely wanted to raise their hands and ask the question
Right.
at the last meeting. I don't think there's any questions there.
That way there, they could, if they wanted
They can
to,
do
they
either.
could come up to the mic
Yeah, I think
and
that's a good
discuss
idea.
it with the group.
I think that's a good idea too. I think that it would, if they had a follow-up question, or if they didn't get explained the question fully, that they could, you know, at least ask a follow-up question if they were up there. But a lot of people are intimidated, especially if there's a camera there or there's a whole bunch of people there. So I think both options are very worthwhile.
Yeah, I think you're right. That works out good. Any other suggestions for changing the format?
Maybe like turn a fan on? We were there for 3 hours and it got really
I
hot.
think October 30th will be a little colder. Hopefully.
I hope so, we don't know.
Maybe we'll have summer or winter.
there was one other topic unrelated to this, but the town manager had brought up the issue of the bond and allowing unused funds in one to be categorized. And there was actually an amendment offered to Order 11/2017. So procedurally, I don't know if we have to reconsider our actions and add that. So with that in mind, Mr. Chairman, having voted on the prevailing side on Order 11/2017, I move that we reconsider our actions for further discussion. Thank you. If there's a second. 11/2017 is the bond, the education bond, and that the town manager brought up the issue of what to do if there's contingency funds not used in one, could they be applied to the other if that was up in,
I'll second that.
okay?
Okay, so you're making, what you wanna do is make an amendment to the ordinance we already passed.
Right, you know, that we have to reconsider to then get it back on the table to then present the amendment.
Okay, I see, so we're reconsidering.
So we would have more say as to what happens with the contingency funds if they're not used.
Well, this opens the whole bailiwick up.
Right, but the intent is to open it up to specifically address the amendment.
Yes.
Okay, not to open the whole thing up.
Right. So it's been moved and seconded to reconsider ordinance number, what did you say?
11/2017.
Must be order.
Order,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
order number
excuse
11.
me.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to reconsider order number 11. Is there any discussion on that? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Ray Karen,
No.
Jeff West,
No.
Ken Fletcher,
Yes,
Tricia West.
Sorry, I have a question. Sorry, can I interrupt? Is it just to consider the contingency fund part of it, or you wanna talk about the whole thing all over again?
my intent is just the amendment that the town manager proposed, so that we could actually add that to the order. Now, I don't know what anybody else's intent is, but
Yeah.
that's my intent.
Lord knows. Okay, yes.
She said yes.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Ben Twitchell,
Yes.
Jerry Curian,
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. So now we have order number 11, I believe.
2017.
2017, back open for consideration. And you would like to propose an amendment to order number 11?
Yes, and I'll pass that out. It's essentially the one that we had in our packet, but I did make a couple of changes that if the
You keep
council.
one.
You can keep one. And this would be,
Do I have a copy?
oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Oops,
There are
sorry.
two copies. So I'll read it, and this would be an attachment A, which goes on to the, actually, it's the treasurer's, the amendment A, which is the order that the treasurer's order. I'm probably not saying that correctly, but I think that's what it is. So I'll read what I'm proposing. That if the actual cost of any part of the project differs from the estimated cost included in this order, or in the title to this order, or otherwise, whether due to completion, delay, or abandonment of such project or portion thereof, or for any other reason, the treasurer is authorized, and what I've added to what you saw, after receiving approval of the town council, to allocate proceeds of the bond to another portion of the project.
So-
And, you know, I'll speak to that if there
Let's
is
have a second to that motion then, right?
Second.
Okay, so it's a movement and seconding, and now the amendment is on the floor for discussion.
So,
You want to begin the discussion, Ken?
yes, if I could,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
What I included in the packet that I just handed out is a one-pager that breaks down all the various pieces. And I've actually included the proportional share of such things as bid contingency, construction contingency, and everything, which was the basis that arrived at those amounts for each one. So that's what we're assuming that we're gonna spend for these projects with the appropriate contingency. So what the intent would be is, let's just say hypothetically, that the addition of the 7th and 8th grade building, which is 5.14 million, has a greater contingency need than the 219,410. And let's assume that, I'll just pick one, the auxiliary gym didn't use their contingency. The treasurer, after review and approval from the council, could then say, therefore, I'm gonna transfer a certain amount of that contingency from the gym to make up the shortfall that may exist within the high school, addition of the 7th and 8th grade classrooms. So it wouldn't be more money, it would just be based on the need identified that those funds could be redistributed to that particular contingency.
I guess my question is it only the contingency funds that you can do that with?
That's my intent.
Because
Now,
in theory, construction costs could come in under estimate for one part of the project.
that's right.
And you could have a cost overrun, but theoretically, if it comes under cost, that money just gets returned and we don't borrow it.
That's correct.
And the only thing that you wanna be able to move around is the contingency part of it.
That's right.
Which is what a contingency fund is for.
That's right. If, for example, we found, hypothetically again, that the bid, including the contingency for the addition of that 1530, came in significantly greater, and it exceeded that amount, I think we as a council would have to address it anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, there is only so much that we can spend, and these are up to numbers.
Right. Any further discussion on the amendment?
Is this, I've never seen it broken out in contingency, usually contingent, you know, the projects I've been involved with is for that, kind of that reason. We had one that went over by a lot up at the mill, and, you know, it was a separate item that was overlooked, but it was nice to have that money put into, you know, one portion of it, because that's where the need was for that portion of the project. So contingency sometime, you know, if it needs to be transferred over. I'm not saying that obviously you put in for contingency, but sometimes you just can't foresee where that contingency is gonna be. It might be all in one place or none, and this limits the amount of money that you can spend in that place, I believe, right, Ken?
Well, it's the same total amount of contingencies, and the contingencies were based on a 5%, either a 5 or a 7.5. So, since in what the people are gonna vote on, is a certain amount of money for each of those scopes, which includes a contingency, right? Is, that the question being asked of the voters, will you approve up to for example, the auxiliary gym, $755,000, which includes contingencies and shares of fees and such. So we aren't changing the total amount of money, we're just saying that if there is an exception, that as long as it's justified and reviewed by the council, we can authorize the treasurer, who's the town manager, to transfer those funds to another scope project because it's needed.
Yeah, I think what might be confusing, at least it did for me at the beginning, was a lot of times you'll have the contingency fund, the 5% will be a separate entity, and I think what we did was we broke that 5% up and spread it out over all the
Right.
aspects of the project, and it may not get used.
It may not, hopefully it doesn't.
Right,
Hopefully the bid and hopefully the construction contingency is not used.
right. But there's a reason why they put a contingency in
That's
there,
right.
for unforeseen circumstances.
This just gives the right to move, the treasurer to move from one to the other.
Just a contingency,
That's
though.
all.
Nothing
And-
else can get moved.
No, I don't.
And, you know, the one thing I added, not that I don't trust the treasurer, but I think the nature of all these funds, because it could be a considerable amount of money, because of the 19,900 limit and everything else, that the council should consider and authorize, because it could be a significant amount of money.
Well, I think it also allows the council to stay on top of it too. Like, we had one construction project where perhaps we weren't on top of it as well as we should have been, and this might remedy that, where we have to, when we talk about this, meet periodically.
Sure.
If it's starting to become overruns.
I agree.
Yes.
Question I have is, what happens if the price goes over that 10.3 million?
Can't. And we should know that well before the last check is written.
That's why we need checks along the
Right.
way, there's no question. Yeah.
Now,
Does anybody know what, bidding prices are going for?
don't know. And we won't know until we actually go out for the bids after the detailed engineering has been put forth, right? So, you know, that there are certain defined limits, you know, the voters will or will not, but let's just assume they will approve the $10,325,000. That's up to, that's not more. Now, if something happened, hopefully we'll know it well in advance, so that at least we'd have the time to reconsider or make another decision or do something.
That's why it'd be important for us to stay abreast of it along the way, trying to check points along the way.
You know, I did provide some additional thoughts, which is not in the amendment. It's just understanding, which is really going along with that. That the utilization of the contingency funds, including design, bid, and construction, needs to be specifically documented as to reason and purpose. You know, I mean, it's not just a blank check, you know, every dollar has to be accounted for and why. And the reallocation of contingency funds to purposes other than the specific project category. And the intent of the contingency will not occur without town and council approval. And the third idea, which is mine, it hasn't got to be the council, there should be at least a monthly report on the project-specific financial results, including the outcome of the bid as compared to projected allocation to the town council for understanding and alignment.
So who's gonna provide the monthly report?
Well, I understand we've hired, what, a general manager? Or will hire a general manager, a general project manager.
Construction manager.
Construction manager, and I would expect that part of that work that they do is the financials and the big comparisons and everything else.
We talked about that at length, about getting reports of problems they're seeing, and they keep a daily log, and we talked about that a lot because of the elementary school, because there were problems that maybe weren't reported or just didn't go very well. So we talked about being really, not really hands-on, like micromanaging, but we wanted some accountability, so we talked about that a lot in the interviews with everyone, so.
Well, the next question I got is, you get out there, right? Because when we did the elementary school, the contractor went belly up halfway through.
Yeah, I would hope that whichever contract is written as a performance bond and
Yeah.
so forth, that is included in that,
Yeah.
that if in fact that they do not fulfill their obligations, there's a recourse that you can follow.
So the next question comes up is,
Jerry, you're way ahead of me. Yeah. But go ahead,
Yeah.
I'll give you my thoughts.
well, and that's why I'm throwing them out, is who's gonna sign the contract? The council, or is it gonna be the school board?
Well, my thought is, since it's probably gonna have to be the council, because, maybe I'm wrong, Mike.
Depends on if it's a school bond, then it would be obviously the school board would sign that. What we're gonna have to do is look at the borrowing options, I think, and see what would be the best course of action. Cause in the past, the school obviously
Yeah.
have done some, and, we do ours, but they've done school bonds.
I get a little nervous in that we're responsible, we're the ones that handle the money. We're the ones that say yes. What I'm afraid of is,
In this case, it's actually the voters, yes or no.
well, yeah, they are, but it still comes through us.
What I'll do is I'll ask the bond attorney, what he would recommend.
One of the questions that, and it's just, I'm not saying this is right, but one of the questions that somebody may ask, the council is the only entity that has the ability to raise funds. So, having somebody else sign the contract, other than the council, may raise that question, that's just a layman's opinion, and that's where we need to get the bond attorney and figure out, who is the right entity.
And that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, I'll find out. What's happened in the past is this body has approved, has authorized who can sign. So historically, it's been me and the council chair, that this body has authorized to sign those contracts and agreements.
I wanna make sure that we don't land up holding a, empty bag.
Yeah, I think that's a good goal, Jerry. I think that we are gonna have to be
Very
very
close on
clear and have a good oversight process to make sure we don't have a surprise.
I think we learned some lessons in the last construction.
Yep.
I think it's safe to say.
So, I think the motion's on the table.
Yep.
The amendments.
We didn't vote on the amendment yet?
No, I've been consuming oxygen here, so let's get you confused, Steve.
I thought you were gonna do the motion to adjourn.
No.
Well, we got a motion on the table.
I
Yeah.
second it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was this discussion to the amendment, and if we're all ready, we will now take a roll call vote on the amendment.
Ray Karen,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Ken Fletcher,
Yes.
Patricia West,
Yes.
Ben Twitchell,
Yes.
Jerry Kurian,
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. Any other discussions?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Been moved to adjourn, is there a second?
Well, that was on the amendment, but now, does that take care of that, or do we have to vote for that change?
We just voted for the change, I
Okay,
think.
okay.
Yes.
I think what we did is we approved the amendment.
Okay, to go on. Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
So moved.
Well.